The bomber that refused to retire. Until one mysterious flight ended. Everything, for more than 70 years, the B-52 Stratofortress seemed almost impossible to kill. It survived the Cold War. It survived Vietnam. It survived the collapse of the...
While newer aircraft came and went, the B-52 remained. Many believed it would continue flying long after today's pilots had retired.
Mayday, mayday, we are losing altitude. Buff 1-1, say nature of emergency. We have a hydraulic failure, banking hard.
And 8 people never came home. What happened aboard that final flight remains one of the biggest unanswered questions facing the United States Air. The morning of June 15, 2026, appeared completely ordinary.
Flight 815, direct immediate correction. We are unable, establishing new course.
The bomber carried 8 people on board.
Look at this. A B-52 manifest with
27 personnel? That can't be right.
Few could have imagined. They were witnessing the beginning of a tragedy. Within minutes of takeoff,
Wait, Buff 5-1 is deviating. Look at this.
the aircraft encountered a problem investigators are still trying to understand. Flight tracking data suggests the bomber made an unusual turn. Moments later, it began losing altitude.
All units, proceed to the crash site.
But there was little they could do. The destruction was catastrophic. Officials quickly determined there were no survivors. And that's where the mystery begins. Because by every obvious measure, this flight should have been routine. We'll maintain standard departure.
Copy that. Flight plan is loaded.
Let's do it. To understand why this crash is so significant, you first need to understand the aircraft itself. The B-52 Stratofortress first flew in 1952. Think about that for a moment. When the B-52 first took to the skies, Elvis Presley had not yet become a global superstar. The first iPhone was more than half a century away. Most modern technologies didn't exist. Yet somehow, this aircraft survived decade after decade. New weapons were added. New radar systems were installed. From the outside, it still looked like a Cold War bomber. Inside, it had become a modern military platform. That ability to evolve is one reason many aviation experts call the B-52 one of the most successful aircraft. The bomber was originally designed to carry nuclear weapons deep into Soviet territory during the Cold War. At the time, the world lived under the constant threat of nuclear conflict. American military planners needed an aircraft capable of traveling enormous distances. The B-52 became the answer. Its range, endurance, and carrying capacity made it one of the most important parts of America's nuclear. And somehow, it never became obsolete. The B-52 refused to retire. Instead, it continued finding new roles. It flew missions during Vietnam. It participated in the Gulf War. It supported operations in Iraq and Afghanistan.
And even today, it remains a key component of American military power.
In fact, the Air Force expects upgraded versions of the B-50 to remain operational. That means some B-52 bombers could remain in service for nearly 100 years. Almost no aircraft in history can make that claim. Which makes this crash even more puzzling. How does an aircraft that survived 70 years suddenly fail during a routine test mission? Investigators are now searching for answers. Military accident investigations generally focus on three major areas. The first area is the aircraft itself. Did a mechanical failure occur? Did a critical system malfunction? Was there an issue with maintenance? The second area involves the crew.
Were there communication problems? Flight 812, adjust heading.
Copy that. No.
Did the pilots encounter an emergency situation that became impossible to manage?
The third area focuses on the environment.
So far, weather appears unlikely to be the cause. That leaves investigators examining the aircraft and the events that unfolded during those final moments. Some aviation experts have pointed to the unusual flight path. At this stage, there are far more questions than answers. Others wonder whether a sudden mechanical failure may have occurred.
And that uncertainty is what makes this story so compelling.
Because somewhere within the wreckage lies the explanation. A clue. A failed component. A chain of events.
Something transformed an ordinary test flight into a disaster.
For the families of those on board, the investigation is more than a technical exercise. It's a search for truth. Behind every headline are real people. 8 people boarded that aircraft, believing they would return home. 8 families received devastating news. 8 futures ended in a matter of moments. Military aviation has always carried risks, even in peacetime, even during routine operations. Even in peacetime, even during routine operations. But understanding the risk does not lessen the pain. As investigators continue their work, the world waits for answers. Perhaps the cause will eventually be identified. Or perhaps this tragedy will remain one of those rare aviation mysteries. Or perhaps this tragedy will remain one of those rare aviation mysteries. The bomber that survived wars, revolutions, and 70 years of history refused to retire.